I didn't plan on losing control that night, but when my son came home with torn sleeves, hiding his arms as if shame could erase the fire that scarred him years ago, something in me cracked. He wouldn't say much, just a name, Daniel, the boy who thought torment was a sport, the boy whose laughter echoed in my son's silence. I went to confront Daniel's father. I didn't expect recognition in his eyes. I didn't expect fear. When he saw my boy's scars, he froze, his face drained of color. And then, in a voice so faint it barely reached me, he whispered, "I know those scars." That was the moment everything shifted. I knew that face, Mark Whitaker. We'd crossed paths years ago when I was married to Julia. Back then, he was nothing more than a colleague of hers, a man with too much charm and not enough restraint. I had dismissed the unease I felt around him, blind with trust in the woman I loved. How naive. It was Julia who'd left me, not with honesty, but with betrayal. A marriage burned down not by accident, but by choice. She had left me and our son behind, chasing a life with a man who promised her freedom. I never knew his name. Until now. Until the bully's father stood before me, staring at scars he shouldn't have recognized. The night of the fire is carved into me like those scars carved into my son. Julia had taken him for the weekend. I was working late. A phone call ripped me from sleep. My son, trapped in a blaze. A faulty wire, they claimed. The doctors called him a miracle for surviving. But children don't hide faulty wires. Children don't scream in their sleep because they remember the crackle of flame and the smell of gasoline. I never believed it was an accident, but I could never prove it. Until Mark whispered those 4 words. I know those scars. I didn't react then. I didn't storm at him, didn't reveal the storm brewing inside me. I left quietly, taking my son's hand, telling him we'd talk later. But that night, I stayed awake. Every detail fell into place. Julia's sudden departure, Mark's convenient appearance, the timing of the fire. My son wasn't just bullied, he was paying the price of secrets buried in ash. I decided then, I wouldn't chase justice through courts that had already failed me. I would build it myself. The first step was simple: patience. I studied Mark, his business, his weaknesses. The company he ran thrived on reputation. Appearances meant everything to him. Men like him are fragile. They hide rot beneath polished glass. I started with the whispers. Anonymous tips about corruption. A leak here, a discrepancy there. Investors grew nervous. Papers shifted hands. His castle of numbers began to crack. Then the photos. Not of him, but of Julia. Their affair, their nights together back when she was still mine. I sent them to his wife. No signature, no note, just evidence that burned without flames. By the time I stepped back into his office, his eyes carried the weight of sleepless nights. "You wanted to talk about Daniel," he said, trying to sound firm. I only smiled. "No, about scars." I placed a file on his desk. Inside, copies of old fire reports, testimonies, even an overlooked insurance claim tied to his name. His hand trembled as he flipped through the pages. "You can't prove," he began. "I don't need to," I interrupted. His eyes snapped up, meeting mine. "All I need is the truth, and you've already given me that." His lips parted, desperate to deny, but his silence betrayed him. The climax wasn't loud, it wasn't violent. It was the slow realization dawning on his face that I had dismantled him piece by piece, that the fire he thought was buried had rekindled, not in wood or gasoline, but in the ruins of his carefully built life. His company collapsed within weeks. His wife left, dragging his children with her. His son, Daniel, was transferred to another school. And Mark, well, Mark disappeared into the kind of shadows men crawl into when there's nothing left to lose. I didn't care where he went. What mattered was my son. One evening, I sat with him, his arms bare, scars visible under the porch light. He looked at me, uncertainty in his eyes. "Did you do something?" he asked. I didn't answer directly. I just brushed a hand over his scarred skin, steady and calm. "These," I said, "don't define you. They define him." For the first time, he didn't pull away. He let the light touch his scars without shame. Revenge is often painted as fire and fury, but I've learned it's colder than that. It's patient, calculated. It's not about rage, it's about balance. Mark will live every day knowing the fire he lit came back for him. And Julia, wherever she is, will know the man she chose ruined her world, not mine. As for me, I don't need apologies. I don't need confessions. I have silence. I have my son. And I have the satisfaction of knowing that the scars no longer haunt us. They haunt him.